Have you ever heard that holding your semen for days, weeks, or even months can boost your erection and increase your energy? This idea spread quickly, captivating millions of men who believe that the secret to potency lies in not ejaculating. But is that true, or just another modern myth disguised as ancient wisdom? The topic of semen retention divides opinions. On one side are those who claim that the body becomes stronger by preserving this vital energy. On the other side is science, trying to understand what really happens inside the male body when the natural cycle of ejaculation is interrupted. And that's where the truth few talk about begins. During ejaculation, the body releases a complex combination of hormones: dopamine, oxytocin, prolactin, and testosterone. This process is part of the reproductive system's natural balance. When a man spends days without ejaculating, the body responds with adjustments. In the first days, dopamine increases, desire grows, and testosterone tends to rise slightly. But over time, the body seeks equilibrium, and what once felt like power can turn into accumulated tension. Retention, when practiced consciously and with purpose, can indeed bring benefits: focus, control, self-mastery, and a sense of concentrated energy. But when done excessively or out of trend, the effect reverses. The body begins to show signs of discomfort, irritability, anxiety, difficulty concentrating, and even testicular pain. What was once control becomes blockage. What many don't understand is that semen isn't just a reproductive fluid, it's part of the male body's natural cycle. It's continuously produced, and the body was designed to release it periodically. Holding it for too long can have the opposite effect: decreased libido and a feeling of physical and mental heaviness. Retention isn't about keeping energy, it's about controlling energy. Knowing when to hold, when to release, and when to rest. That balance is what determines true sexual power. I'm Emily Collins, a urologist, and today I'll show you what science really says about semen retention and how it affects your body, mind, and erection. But before we continue, make sure you're subscribed to the channel, because here I talk about men's sexual health based on science, without taboos, and with direct language. And tell me in the comments, do you believe semen retention improves your potency? From the moment you decide to stop ejaculating, your body starts reacting right away. In the first few days, something interesting happens. Your brain increases the release of dopamine, the hormone of motivation and desire. This boost creates a feeling of energy, focus, and confidence. It's as if the body interprets retention as a sign of strength and readiness, reinforcing virility. In the testicles, the process also intensifies. The body continues to produce sperm normally, and semen begins to accumulate in the seminiferous tubules and seminal vesicles. This ongoing production stimulates an increase in circulating testosterone, which explains why many men report greater vitality, desire, and stronger erections after a few days of abstinence. But biologically, this effect has a limit. Studies show that around the 7th day of retention, testosterone reaches a mild peak, about 40% above normal, and then tends to return to baseline. This means the body self-regulates, seeking balance. It recognizes that if semen isn't being released, there's no need to keep increasing hormone production indefinitely. At this stage, other hormones come into play, such as prolactin and cortisol. Prolactin signals to the brain that the reproductive cycle is on pause. Cortisol, on the other hand, can rise slightly if the buildup continues for too long, causing irritability, muscle tension, and anxiety. In other words, the body starts turning control into overload. What was focus can become frustration, what was energy can turn into discomfort. The brain begins to send signals that it's time to release. After all, the male reproductive system was designed to function in cycles, not in permanent blocks. Retention can be positive when used as a tool for self-mastery, but not as a rigid rule. It should teach you to control your impulses, not to fight against your biology. And that's exactly what I want to explain now: how to find the ideal hormonal balance, the moment when retention strengthens you, and the moment when it starts to weaken you. Semen retention can indeed bring benefits, but only within biological limits. The male body was designed to function in short, repetitive hormonal cycles. It doesn't interpret retention as a spiritual exercise but as a pause in reproductive function. And every prolonged pause generates compensatory reactions. In the first days of abstinence, retention acts as a natural hormonal reset. Dopamine rises, testosterone increases slightly, desire grows, and a man feels a surge of physical and mental energy. It's the body responding to the buildup as if preparing for a moment of high sexual performance. In this phase, usually between the third and seventh day, retention strengthens focus, self-control, and potency. But from there, the body starts seeking balance. If retention extends beyond what the body can handle, the brain begins to interpret the semen buildup as physiological overload. Testosterone drops, cortisol increases, and dopamine starts to fluctuate. The energy that once felt like focus turns into agitation, irritability, and even decreased libido. What many men mistake for a loss of sexual energy is actually the body protecting itself from the buildup. The seminal vesicles distend, the testicles become more sensitive, and in some cases, mild pelvic pain can appear. It's the body signaling that it needs release. Science shows that moderate retention, between 3 and 7 days, tends to improve sensitivity, erection quality, and control over climax. But long periods bring no additional benefits, on the contrary, they cause mental and hormonal fatigue. The male body thrives on balance, not repression. The true power of retention lies in re-educating the brain, not imprisoning the body. It's a practice in focus, awareness, and impulse control. But the mistake lies in believing that the longer you abstain, the stronger you become. Biology doesn't work that way, it rewards balance, not extremes. And that's exactly what I want to show you now, how dopamine control and sexual self-mastery become the true pillars of potency and energy. Dopamine is the thread that connects desire. It's what awakens impulse, focus, and the sense of reward. Every time you feel attraction, excitement, or approach pleasure, the brain releases dopamine. It's the fuel that drives male sexual behavior. And that's why it's also the key to control. The man who understands his dopamine understands his body. When you choose to practice retention, your brain interprets it as a challenge. In the first few days, it responds by increasing dopamine, which raises your mood, motivation, and sense of power. The man feels more confident, more focused, and more in control of his body. This effect is real, and it's why so many report mental clarity and higher energy during the first days of retention. But dopamine has limits. The brain wasn't designed to sustain high levels continuously. If retention goes on too long, the buildup of tension without natural release starts to create the opposite effect: dopamine crashes. The man feels irritated, anxious, unfocused, and even sexually disinterested. The body tires from being in a constant state of alert. This is where true self-control comes in. It's not about repressing pleasure, it's about choosing the right time to experience it. Controlling dopamine means learning to channel desire, not suffocate it. When you understand your rhythm, pleasure stops being an impulse and becomes a tool, something that strengthens instead of drains you. The mistake many men make is thinking pleasure is the enemy of strength. In reality, pleasure mirrors balance. When you experience pleasure consciously, the brain regulates dopamine more effectively. And the body responds with firmer erections, stable desire, and consistent energy. Dopamine is the bridge between desire and discipline. It doesn't want to be repressed, it wants to be trained. The man who learns to work with it achieves what many seek but few find: controlled potency. And that's exactly what I want to show you now, how retention truly affects erection, energy, and testosterone, and what science has actually discovered about it. For a long time, people believed that retaining semen made the body accumulate testosterone, energy, and sexual power. But modern science shows the story is a bit different. The male body is a machine of self-regulation, and when it comes to testosterone and erections, it works with precision. Scientific studies show that during the first days of abstinence, testosterone levels do rise slightly, peaking around the 7th day. However, this increase is temporary. After that, the body stabilizes hormones again, as if saying, I have enough. In other words, the body doesn't accumulate power indefinitely, it seeks balance. Erections, in turn, are influenced much more by vascular and neurological health than by retention itself. The penis depends on consistent blood flow and a responsive nervous system. When a man practices retention consciously, avoiding overstimulation and improving focus, erections tend to be firmer. That happens not because semen was kept, but because the brain and body are more connected. The physical and mental energy many report largely comes from dopamine. Retention reduces exposure to rapid highs and crashes from instant gratification, improving focus and drive. The man feels more in control, and that self-control creates a sense of power. But when control turns into repression, the effect reverses. Hormonal buildup and pelvic tension begin causing irritability, anxiety, and sometimes even erectile difficulties. Science is clear: moderation sustains performance. Retaining for a few days can enhance sensitivity and desire. Retaining for too long causes the opposite effect. The male body needs alternating cycles of stimulation and release. That rhythm maintains vitality. Erection is the thermometer of inner balance. When the body is in harmony, it's strong, steady, and natural. When there's imbalance, from excess or lack, it reveals it. And that's exactly what I want to show you now: the risks of excessive retention and the signs that your body is asking you to stop. Anything excessive loses balance, and semen retention is no different. The male body was designed to produce and release semen periodically. When that release is blocked for long periods, the body reacts, not as punishment, but as an attempt to restore balance. One of the first signs of excessive retention is testicular congestion. The testicles continue producing sperm, and semen accumulates in the seminal vesicles, creating pressure, heaviness, or pain in the pelvic area. This discomfort is the body saying, I need to release what I've produced. In some cases, this buildup can even cause involuntary nighttime ejaculations, known as nocturnal emissions, precisely because the body seeks the physiological relief the brain is denying. Mentally, too much retention can lead to irritability, anxiety, and lack of focus. This happens because the brain, trying to maintain high dopamine levels without the natural release of pleasure, goes into overload. The nervous system becomes tense, the mind restless, and the body expends energy just to maintain control. In some men, excessive retention can even cause the opposite of the desired effect: reduced libido and difficulty achieving erection. The body perceives that sexual impulse is constantly being suppressed and, as a defense mechanism, reduces hormonal stimulation. The result is loss of sensitivity and disconnection from one's own pleasure. Additionally, prolonged retention can slightly increase cortisol, the stress hormone. This impairs sleep, lowers testosterone, and directly affects physical energy. The man starts feeling exhausted even without physical effort. Retention shouldn't be a prison, it should be an exercise in awareness. True control is knowing when to hold and when to release. The body speaks. It tells you when it's strong and when it's overloaded. The mistake is ignoring those signals in pursuit of a kind of potency that doesn't exist in nature. And that's exactly what I want to show you now: the final lesson that science and clinical experience reveal, the secret isn't in retaining, it's in balancing. The secret to potency isn't retaining semen at all costs, but understanding your body. True masculine strength comes from balance, from conscious mastery of pleasure, not repression. Storing energy doesn't mean storing semen, it means controlling your mind, your breathing, your rhythm, and knowing when to let go. The man who masters pleasure understands that potency doesn't come from abstinence, but from awareness. When he chooses to retain for a few days, he does so to reconnect with his body, sharpen focus, and rediscover the power of desire. But he also understands that the body needs release to stay healthy. That biological wisdom is what separates control from excess. I'm Emily Collins, a urologist, and I see this every day in my practice: men who believed the secret was to never ejaculate and ended up exhausted, irritable, and with no libido. And I also see those who learn to live with rhythm, who use retention as a tool, not a prison, and rediscovered a more natural, balanced, and lasting potency. The male body is cyclical. It was made to feel pleasure, rest, and then begin again. This cycle keeps testosterone at healthy levels, dopamine in balance, and the brain connected to desire. When you respect that rhythm, pleasure becomes a source of energy, not depletion. A potent man isn't the one who avoids pleasure, it's the one who masters the right moment to feel it. He understands that power lies in choice, not repression. And when that balance is reached, the whole body responds, firm erections, clear mind, and constant energy. If you've made it this far, congratulations, it shows that you're seeking to understand your body with maturity and awareness. Now, subscribe to the channel, because here I talk about men's sexual health based on science, without taboos, and with direct language. Leave your like if this video helped you see pleasure differently and comment below. Balance is power. And for those who stayed until the end, the next video is already on the screen. In it, I'll explain how to control pleasure without losing energy and turn desire into focus, vitality, and self-mastery. Click and keep going with me, because knowledge is the first step to mastering your potency.